Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome back. Let's just dig right into it. Keith one-time Thurman versus Josesito Lopez was a great fight, and we learned a lot about both guys. Let's break down the fight first and foremost. If you look at the fight, Keith Thurman started out a lot of lateral movement. Looks like he was going to Josesito's body early. I believe in the second round, he dropped Josesito Lopez with a great shot. And basically, he went to Josesito's body, waited for the head to open up, caught him square on the chin, dropped Josesito. I thought that Josesito might have been in trouble. I wasn't knowing how he was going to respond. Josesito regathered himself, regrouped, went back to his corner, came back out, and kept the pressure going. About the sixth round, you could tell Keith Thurman was starting to lose a lot of that momentum, that energy that he once had. He was clearly starting to gas after such a long layoff, being off almost 2 years. You have to understand that that's going to take a toll on you. Josesito is a true warrior. He kept coming forward, kept being aggressive, kept throwing shots. And then in the seventh round, it looks like Josesito had Keith Thurman out on his feet. Now, you can judge that how you want to, but in my opinion, if that was any other fighter, if Josesito was a big name fighter, they would have stopped the fight and crowned Josesito Lopez the new champion against Thurman. I know a lot of people are going to look at that and say, what's going on? But Keith Thurman stopped defending himself. Josesito Lopez kept coming forward, was very aggressive and landing a lot of shots. But that's just my observation. As the fight progressed, Keith Thurman landed a lot more clean shots. He kept going, and Josesito kept going forward. The fight ended as we all predicted. Keith Thurman getting the victory over Josesito Lopez. Now, I'm not saying Josesito should have beat Thurman. I'm just saying that I can see how someone could gauge that, because the seventh round was a very suspect round for me. I'm looking at that particular round. It looks like Thurman could have been out on his feet. Looking at the seventh round, he also took a lot of punishment and was not answering back. He absorbed a lot of shots. And I can contribute that to being off on a layoff for such a long time. It's going to catch up with you at some point, especially when you use a lot of movement. Other than that, Keith Thurman looked great as far as when he did use his movement, when he was energized with his combination punching and going to the body to open up the head. So he was doing a lot of fantastic things in this fight, and I commend Keith Thurman. But in the seventh round, it just showed us a lot about Keith Thurman and what he's ready for. The next fight that he has cannot be against a top level, A-level opponent, because if it is, Keith Thurman is done. He is going to lose, and he may get stopped. There's a lot been said about Keith Thurman and Manny Pacquiao as of late. I think Manny would stop him. I think Sean Porter would stop him. Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford would stop him easily at this point, until he's fully back. I just think that this fight shows me that he's a long way off from being the Keith Thurman that we all know. He needs multiple tune-ups. He needs at least 2 more tune-ups before he's even in the fighting shape and condition to face that level of competition. Because if he jumps into a big fight next, if he fights Sean Porter next, ultimately, I believe Sean Porter stops him. If he steps into a big fight against a guy like, Manny Pacquiao, a Hall of Famer who can hit, who shows to carry his power, I believe Manny stops him. And it's not because of skill, it's because of the simple fact that Keith Thurman is going to wear down, and you need multiple fights after that long of a layoff before you're able to come out and perform at a high level again like you once were. Going 12 rounds is a big step in that right direction. Defeating Josesito Lopez is a huge step. I just feel that Keith Thurman's going to need a lot more in the tank before he's ready to face the elite level competition in the welterweight division. As far as Josesito Lopez, he's a true warrior. He has to be commended. He did better than most people thought he would do. He did better than I thought he would do. I didn't even think Josesito would do this great. I thought he could possibly go 12 rounds, but ultimately I was also looking at Thurman possibly stopping him. That almost could have happened in the second round, but at the same time, Josesito Lopez battled the entire fight. And then if you look at Thurman, he also lost a lot of power on his punches late in the fight. The same effect that he had early in the fight, and the power and precision, that kind of waned to late in the fight. So it's going to take a lot of time for Thurman to get all of his faculties back together as far as his accuracy and things like that, and being able to maintain his power from the first to the 12th round as well. But all in all, it was a great, fantastic comeback fight for Keith Thurman. I have to take my hat off to Josesito Lopez, Riverside Rocky. He really fought his heart out, and he has to be commended as a true warrior. Keith Thurman, great fight. He battled back through adversity. So I think it was a great fight overall. Once again, we have to be unbiased as always. It's the IBFP. Please share, like, and you must absolutely subscribe.